John, where are we, man? OC, day 11. We got some updates. We also have Christian Parker. The update on Christian Parker, I think we should give to the people. Maybe let's start with that. This coaching staff is changing, and we still have an opening at the one of the more important positions on the coaching staff. What do you got for me today, Johnny Mac?
Christian Parker to the. How about them Cowboys?
How about
Christian
them Cowboys?
Parker to the Dallas Cowboys, going to be their new defensive coordinator. I'm a little surprised. I did, the history of the Cowboys is the history of the Cowboys. Christian will be the first Cowboys defensive coordinator without head coaching experience. Think about that.
Oh, shit.
Since 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they typically go for the big name, not the up and comer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they've had a ton of success. So, maybe this is a more positive way to go for the Cowboys, which obviously, and you take him away from a division rival. I also think the Packers were in on this because the Packers, I think, were interested in him. That's where he started under Matt LaFleur. He started his NFL career. And I think there's a little rivalry there that's amped up with the Micah Parsons stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they wanted to keep him away from Green Bay as well. So ends up being a bad situation for the Eagles, but I think they were going to lose him anyway.
Bad situation.
So, really highly regarded down there. Players love him. Not great, but part of the NFL. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I like when I know obviously it sucks that, for Eagle fans, they went to the Cowboys, but I think that's one of the good parts, when you have a good coach who works hard, who's young, and, who's deserving. I've heard you talk good things about Christian Parker, John, for a long time, and I remember you saying, I don't know if it was last offseason, I think it was 2 off seasons ago. Keep an eye on Christian Parker. He'll be a DC in this league one day. And there you go, John. On Friday, January 23rd of 26. And he absolutely is a DC in Dallas. John, how much is the impact on the Eagles? That's maybe
the real
it's
question.
Maybe it's delusion. I think the Eagles are more positioned to lose a coach like that. Not to say it's not a big loss, but when you have Vic Fangio, when you have great cornerbacks, you can handle that. Obviously, how big of a loss do you think that is for the Philadelphia Eagles to lose Christian Parker? Obviously with the defense being such a big part of their team, even with how good they've been, John, they really haven't had, major losses on that coaching staff, which is pretty surprising considering, the results they've had.
Now let's see how they.
Yeah, it is a little bit surprising. Yeah, again, a lot of, he's very young, so you have to sort of go through it a little bit before people will take you seriously. He's
doesn't it sound like
the
it's
Eagles?
a funeral?
Obviously, the Eagles defense has been tremendous for the 2 years he's been here. Number one pass defense when they won the Super Bowl. I believe they were top 10 this year. So consistency, learned under the best there is in Vic Fangio. So that helps. And the Eagles were prepared for it. They knew they were going to lose this guy at some point. And Joe Casper, I would imagine, would step up. He's the safeties coach. I think they'll just elevate him to be.
Well, hello, good people and Eagle and 49er fans. And also we got Momo in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Before we get into it, let's not forget my good friends from Sleeper. Sign up today so you can get that $20 bonus and up to $100
Sleeper
match.
is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code JOBO. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Make sure you call your shot on Sleeper. Don't be sleeping. Don't be sleepy like me. You know I'm always sleepy. I'm 60 years old, so, my body keeps saying, you're supposed to be taking a nap, and I refuse. And instead, what you get is, I'm fighting it, man. I'm fighting it every step of the way. Let me say hello to Help Miranda. There's Holly Pierce. There's Lady Libra, double dipping on both channels. Shout out to Crazy Corvette, Alan Williams, and Roland's Review. What's up, Roland? How you doing? Nick J. Nick, are you over the pain of losing yet? Are you yet? 49er fan, bro. My grandma died yesterday. Oh, shit, Nick. My apologies, man. My prayers go out to you, man. I'm so sorry to hear that you lost your grandma. Everybody, make sure you keep Nick J in your prayers. Losing loved ones, man, is hard, man. It is really hard. Jeff Lee, my name is Jeff. Rhonda slurping on some chicken wings. Loyal Cowboy in the house. What's up, Loyal? And Jeff Lee, we got Holly Pierce up in here. We got Philly D. We got Momo, the Shay brother, Rhonda says. Let's see. What other lovely ladies here? We got Roosevelt in the house. And we're going to go ahead and get going here. So the Cowboys are moving differently. And I want to know how you all feel on this. Now, the reason I played the Eagles content there is, and this is something I'm actually working in. A lot of you guys may remember a good friend of mine, Richard. And Richard, we went down to Williamsburg together with them, Richard and Felicia, great friends. I remodeled their kitchen when they bought their house about 2 years ago and things. And we've been friends for about 20-some years. He's a big Steelers fan, and I've been trying to convince him for about 5 or 6 years to get into YouTube because he has such a wealth of knowledge on football, fantasy football, and everything about the Steelers and things. Him and I end up having great conversations all the time. And he, of course, didn't listen to me because nobody ever listens to me. He didn't listen to me at the time. 5, 6 years ago, it would have been a little easier to break in. But I don't think that there's that many Steeler content creators. So I'm helping him get set up in the same way I've been helping Momo. And Momo is famous for saying stupid shit. That's Momo's charge. He says stupid shit, and we love him. We put up with him because we love him and all that. So look for Richard. But I want to start trying to do something a little bit different because we get into the echo chamber, okay? We get all excited and hyped up about moves just because we're actually making moves. If you remember back in the day when Eddie Murphy was talking about a starving man, a cracker tastes good to a cracker. That was a good cracker. That must have been a Ritz. That wasn't no regular cracker. Man, that's a good cracker. And that's how we are as Cowboy fans. We're starving. When we hire a Mike Zimmer, we say, oh, well, Mike Zimmer, man, he used to be here and things, and he's done some great things with Cincinnati. Back in the day he was there. He actually had a team that was pretty good in Minnesota. He's coming back to the Cowboys. He's going to be great. We'll go through, because we're starving, we'll sign a guy like Jonathan Mingo, and we'll say, hey, man, he was a second-round talent guy, and he going to come here with Dak Prescott because everybody comes here with Dak Prescott. They elevate their game. They're going to be great. Or Jack Sanborn, a.k.a. Sandbag. Oh, man. You get listening to Cowboy fans last year, early part of training camp, you would have thought we signed Brian Urlacher. Yes, we did. We shoveled the shit for Jerry Jones. And it's kind of like when you grow up. You remember the great things about your hometown. That was the greatest place in the world. You better not say nothing about Mayberry RFD. But then when others come there and they see, it's kind of lacking. It's kind of hot. kind of dry. It's in black and white. It's not the same feeling. So we need to start getting perspectives of people outside of the Cowboys echo chamber. Right now, whether you listen to Vosh or Law or any of them, they're going to tell you, great hire, great hire. Man, this is what we've been waiting for. A guy that doesn't have any experience being a head coach. Right? We're excited because we didn't wait while everybody else filled out their rosters to see who's left. And we're not hiring a guy who had a track record, okay? Because when we hired Everpuss, it was about familiarity. Oh, well, he was here with us, and then he went on to the Colts, and he had a great defense with the Colts. He gets the job with Chicago. Well, that wasn't great, but he was a great defensive coach for those 3 years with the Colts. So, of course, he'll come to Dallas, and he'll be great with, chopped liver. I listened to Mark, Brian, Phil, and Lloyd. Appreciate you, Logan Motorsports. Chris, Chris, man, I need that pizza you had, bro. That looked good. Dirt and Nasty Sanchez in the house. And Sugar Daddy Williams, yeah, cheers. So that's where I'm trying to now look outside of the regular echo chamber of Cowboy fans and Cowboys media and Cowboys YouTubers. Because we really need to know, was it a good move? Now, let's be clear here. Talent matters. Norv Turner was thought to be a genius when he was here with Dallas. They said, oh, my God, he's the greatest coordinator of all time. Well, not to poo-poo on him, he did have Troy Aikman, one of the most accurate passers in football. Check that off the list. He did have the all-time leading running back in Emmitt Smith. Check that off the list. He had an incredible fullback who could lead block like the hell out of it. Check that off the box. He had one of the greatest offensive lines in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. Check that off the box. He had a great tight end who was a security blanket for the quarterback who's a Hall of Famer. Check that off the box. He had one of the craziest, playmakingest wide receivers, and I don't know if you saw the clip of Michael Irvin where he's got the White House podcast. And they were talking about, he was like, man, y'all, you got to stop accusing me about cocaine and everything. Man, I ain't done coke in 20 years, man, and all that. He said, but I've been hearing about some coke that keeps you up for 5 hours. Now, you got some of that 5 hour shit. Okay, all right, sorry, I digress. But I bet he was really thinking about 5 hour coke. Damn. That's too long to be high. But he had a Hall of Fame wide receiver. And he even had, Alvin Harper as a great Robin. And you look at that, I'm going to ask a real question. When you think about the Dallas Cowboys offense, where was there a weakness? What was the weakest link in the 90s Dallas Cowboys offense? So, if you're an offensive coordinator and you're calling plays, how many plays really just didn't work? I mean, basically, you could just run straight ahead because your offensive line was making tractor-trailer size holes for Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith wasn't getting touched for the first 4 or 5 yards down the field. I think I might have been able to be a decent play caller with that offense. I'm just saying. You can look like a genius when everything works. But when he got to Washington and didn't have all those tools, as a head coach, didn't quite work the same. Players matter. So we got step one. We got Christian Parker, and his resume reads as 2013, okay? Back when Jason Garrett was here, going 8-8. He was at Virginia State University, okay, in Petersburg, Virginia, as a defensive back coach. The next year, he went to Norfolk State, right? Norfolk State, where Michael Vick is now coaching, head coach of the Norfolk State. I think they're Trojans. The color's green. My brother went to Norfolk State. DB coach for a year. And from there, he moved on up to Notre Dame as a defensive analysis. After a year, he moved on to Texas A&M in 2018 as a defensive analyst. And in 2019, went to the Green Bay Packers for a year as defensive quality control coach. Moved on to Denver. Now, this is the first time he stayed anywhere for more than a year, was in Denver as the DB coach. On to Philadelphia, 1 year. Passing game coordinator and defensive back coach. On to the Dallas Cowboys. You can see that he is moving on up constantly. Kiana. Why did I say Q? See, this is where the English language is a bastard. It's Kiana, but it's with a Q. Q, not K. So I see it, I say Kiana, but it's Kiana. It's like knee. Why the hell do you have a K on a knee? And see, this is why people, you're just stupid. No, I'm just I'm thinking logically. Why do we have silent letters there? If it ain't doing shit, why is it there? I'm sorry. But shout out to Kiana. Mr. Mojo in the house. Use the oh shit sound for you. Okay, Dallas Cowboy for life, Gilly. Agree, Mark. I will not remember names, laugh out loud. So I guess I'm sensitive because I've been getting all kinds of emails from the haters out there. See, 49er fans, they're butthurt. The Bang Bang Niner gang ain't got no Bang Bang left in them. And because they got mollywopped again in the playoffs, and, you know, maybe this is a situation where Kyle Shanahan's going to get buffaloed sometime soon. That the owner's going to finally say, I'm sick of this shit, and fire him, and throw him under the bus for not getting to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying. Always a bridesmaid, never the bride. But be that as it may. Buffalo situation is crazy. Interviewing Philip Rivers. Are you kidding? Philip Rivers? He was a high school coach for like 2 years. And now you're talking about firing Sean McDermott, throwing everybody but Josh Allen under the bus, and now you're going to hire Philip Rivers? Oh, what the hell? That's some crazy shit there. And they talking about the Cowboys. Be that as it may. Sorry, I digress. The Cowboys, back to Norv Turner, we got to put players in the field. Having a great mind doesn't mean anything. I can sit here and my wife's like, oh, I need you to build me a corner cabinet for stuff. It's kind of like, don't we have enough shit? No. Do we really need another corner cabinet for some more shit? Yeah, we got so much shit. I'm just like, I'm going to digress here for one more second. Ladies, what the hell is the infatuation of all the pillows on the bed that you do not use other than them sitting on the bed? Now, I use two pillows to sleep on. Now, the pillow I sleep on goes into the chest that's at the foot of the bed. That one doesn't get put on the bed unless I'm going to sleep. Because there's the decorator pillows that are on the bed. So you got the pillows and the chamois, okay, on top of the regular pillows. Oh, and then there's a wedge. We have a wedge that goes across the bed to hold the pillows up. Okay? So that way the pillows stand up better. So we have that. Then we got the chamois pillows, right? And then we got like this white pillow that's on there and stuff, and then there's a heart pillow and things. And so then when it's time to go to bed, we got to go in the trunk and get the pillows to sleep in, and then we got to put the pillows on top that are the bed pillows, okay? And I'm just like, can't we just eliminate the middleman and just leave the bed pillows that we sleep in? I mean, it's not like we're a museum where people are. It's just like we get up, we make up the bed, we go to bed. Come to find out, I come home today. We got a new pillow. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh. I forgot what it says on the pillow, but something about being in love and this, that, and the other. Gina Thorne. Gina Dallas Diva. What's up, Gina Dallas Diva? So I'm kind of like, my wife's like, oh, what'd you think of the pillow? I was like, we needed some more pillows for the bed, honey. Rhonda says, I have 6 pillows on my bed. When a woman sleeps on the boobies. No, Rhonda, listen. We don't sleep on those pillows. They get moved off the bed. Then we get the other pillows that are there. It's just like a whole lot of work. Okay, I'm sorry, I digress. I got a lot going on here, guys. I got a lot going on here. It's going to be 20 degrees for the high temperature, and I know I can't complain about that because Eddie, it's minus 21. It's minus 21. And Tammy, it's minus 39. I get it. Okay, but y'all used to that shit. I'm not used to that shit. I would never, ever move any places that cold. So that was your choice to be there. I'm just saying, we don't usually get that shit, and so I'm going to complain. Jeff Lee, we know you love boobies. So back to the Cowboys. I'm sorry, I digress so hard tonight. Back to the Cowboys with Christian Parker. He can be an incredible mind. But if you end up having a guy like Kenneth Murray, who I'm not going to even put everything on Everpuss, because I look at Kenneth Murray and say, you are the farthest thing away from being a freaking linebacker. You've got no instincts. You don't know what your assignments are, and you get trucked all the time. You literally are running out of bounds. So if you are saying Christian Parker, I expect to turn this defense around, and we got the same old shit. That's the same thing as having Dak Prescott, when we literally had CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of guys at wide receiver and a piece of crap offensive line, and say, Dak, win us the Super Bowl. You got to have players. You got to have tools in the toolbox. And so, yeah. Step 1 is in the books. We got a young, up-and-coming coach who has a lot of experience. He's 34 years of age, barely older than most of the players he's going to coach. He can relate to them. I like this as opposed to a Mike Zimmer that's like in his 60s and all that, who's old school, walking around with a bad attitude just screaming at you. Well, you can't scream at these young kids anymore. They don't take to that. There's no fear. They know you yell at me, I'll get a suit on you, bro. I'll get you for slander. You got to be able to know how to play, Madden and shit with them, and be their guys. And that's what Christian Parker is. And he's a teacher. Where did he go? Where did he go? AKA Kenneth Murray. I don't know where he went, but he better not be coming back next year. That's at least, here's the good thing, at least last year. With the exception of Solomon Thomas, everybody else they signed on the defense as a free agent was a 1-year deal. So they can walk away, although some of them will have some dead money. Walk away, walk away, walk away. Marcus, I'm with you, man. I love the hire. But now we got to go out. We got to get some players. And here's where I have to do this to Philly 500. I just have to. Because
Your heads to Dallas.
Philly was so funny yesterday. When I called my live stream on the Dan Saleo show, Drama Queens, Philly 500 loved that. He's like, we got to get a shirt like that. You and me on a shirt, the NFC East Drama Queens.
And the Eagles front office is laughing because the Dallas Cowboys just fell right into our trap.
Just fell into the trap.
Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, King Thing back here in breaking news, breaking mother humping news. The Dallas Cowboys, they fell right into the Eagles' trap by hiring Christian Parker, the Eagles' secondary coach, who is now their defensive coordinator. But they don't know the real genius was not the secondary coach, it was his assistant, Christian Parker's. They hired the wrong guy. I wish. Here's what's really going on. The Dallas Cowboys
Stole from you.
The Pound Cowboys are working to hire Pound Eagles secondary coach and passing game coordinator Christian Parker as their new defensive coordinator, per me and Tom Pelissero. The deal's not done yet, and hopefully will fall through, but they hope it will be. A rising young coach, he lands in a big spot with the rival. Now, I joke at the beginning of this about,
Holly.
getting the wrong guy. No, they hired the right guy, and I was just having a little fun. I just wanted to imagine what it would feel like if they screwed up, but they didn't screw up. Christian Parker is a great young coach, a great young mind. I loved listening to all the, the behind the scenes things, especially the year we had the Super Bowl run, and just hearing him talk to Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He has developed a lot of talent at corner, especially some of those defensive backs. He has a huge track record from Jair Alexander, right to Patrick Surtain, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. He has, and look, those are very, very talented guys, but he has done a great job developing. And I think, in all honesty, we are fortunate that we had him for 2 years, because I really didn't think we would have him for 2 years. I really didn't. So the Eagles will lose him. Dallas will gain him. And look.
Yay. All right. So, Philly 500, this is where it really does my heart good, because Philly 500 is at the drop of a hat. You mess up one time, you are dead to Philly 500, and he wants you out of there. The fact that he is actually upset about losing him goes to show you how much he actually believes in that guy. And make no mistake about it, this is a guy who is got his sights on bigger things. He wants to be a head coach, and that could be the greatest driver out there. He's going to want to come in, and he doesn't have to necessarily do a lot to improve this defense. The cupboard's bare. The Joneses recognize Kenneth Gainwell. Get his ass out of here. Okay. Yeah, that he's famous. Get his ass out of here. We love Philly 500. That's my boy. But he wants to become a head coach. And you can see he's been sucking up all the knowledge. He's been busting his ass. There's a story out there about him that he literally has notes from every single meeting that he's ever had as a coach. Every one. That's a lot of notes. You've got players on the Eagles that are literally saying, I wouldn't be the player I am without him. Cowboys got a good one. Let me ask you this. Real question. when Kellen Moore left, how many people were singing his praise? Anybody? Thomas, you're right. Derek Barnett. Jesus, get his ass out of here. He hated Derek Barnett. But yeah. Okay. So now, when we got Everpuss, he ended up picking Kenneth Murray, or wanting Kenneth Murray. He wanted Jack Sanborn, followed him from Chicago, as well as a few others. He's going to have input, or he had input. And you can best believe that Christian Parker is not coming here just to say, I'm a defensive coordinator, I'll be here for a year and you can fire me. He's coming here with papers that he wants to get signed to go on to the next level. And he will probably look to bring some of his guys. Now, we're going to be changing the defense. The defense is definitely going to be different. One, we had this zone defense that was ass. It was more like a zoned out defense because it seemed like everybody was zoned the hell out. We'll probably be doing more two high safety shell defense. We will probably end up doing more simulated pass rushing. Things like where you have Dan Quinn did a bunch of this too. You have two guys lining up in the A gaps, and they may or may not be pass rushing, but they're making you think about it. They're getting close enough that they're breathing, their hot breath gets on the quarterback, and it kind of makes the quarterback worry about his ass. Oh, shit! And then, boom, sometimes they drop off, sometimes one goes in, sometimes they both go in. But it puts question. The Cowboys with Everpuss, we very rarely ever blitzed. We basically sat back and said, we're bending, don't break, and hopefully our D-backs can find somebody in the zones. And we saw every son bitch, I hate to say it, son bitch quarterbacks out there week after week. 3rd down and 10, no problem. No problem. We saw Diggs giving up literally almost the perfect score. Every time that somebody threw against Trayvon Diggs, they had almost the perfect quarterback rating. They had like a 158.6, and I think the perfect score is 158.8. So what, somebody just dropped something? You had one bad throw in there or something? We were ass. Savon Ravel got here in the middle of the season without having any OTAs, off-season training camp, or anything, and just kind of got stuck in there. Deron Bland looked like he was ass. Completely lost. And I think that is a product of losing Al Harris. I think Al Harris, mind you, has had multiple all-pro cornerbacks, much the same way Christian Parker did. The difference here is Brian Schottenheimer likes Christian Parker and likes his discipline and likes the way he teaches. You're going to probably see a lot of 5-man fronts. With the down linemen we have right now, you actually have to look at that and say that's the strength of our defense between Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, and yes, I believe we're going to keep both of them, and both of them do have triggers, okay? Let me remind you, because, we can't keep Kenny Clark. We can keep both of them. We can keep don't believe the bullshit that you get from the talking heads. See, here's the thing. The Eagles, when they do contracts, they do them early, but they already put the triggers already done on them to save the money. Okay? They've already just said, we're just going to kick the money way down the road. We'll worry about that later. Now, that may eventually come back to bite them, but then again, the way the salary cap is going up on a yearly basis, when you start looking and saying The last 3 years, it's averaged $25 million a year. That's $75 million in 3 years. In 2029, when it goes through the roof, the salary cap may be up another $100 million. So it's a smaller piece of the pie then than it is now. And since viewership has basically broken records this year, think about the Cowboys, Kansas City Thanksgiving game, that there were 57 million people watching that. The old record was 42. Think about the gambling that now everybody in the world has an app. Everybody's gambling, and all of the damn different gambling. I heard about some people that were literally betting on 2 cockroaches running up the wall. That's more money for the teams. Think about all of the damn streaming platforms that now you got playoff games streamed. And think about Christmas now has been taken over by the NFL. 3 games on Christmas. Christmas. Thanksgiving. We're getting all the holidays. And coming up will be an 18-game season at the detriment of the players. I think that 17 games, you're limping by the time you get to the playoffs. You're going to put another game in on top of these bodies? Yeah, the owners don't care about the players. They care about the damn money. So be that as it may. The Cowboys, when they sign people, they put all the money in the front, but they have the triggers. If I pull up the Cowboys over the cap, and this may, it's 2 different philosophies. What this enables you to do is, let me pull it up here. For the Cowboys, for example, let's take a look at this. All right. If you look at it today, right now, the Dallas Cowboys are $39 million in the red. That ain't good, but it's really kind of bullshit. Reason being is when you look at Dak Prescott's cap number at $74 million, you look at CeeDee Lamb's at 38, you look at Tyler Smith at 27, you look at Quentin Williams at 21, you look at Kenny Clark at 21, you look at Osa Ndigazua at 20, and you look at Terrence Steele at 18. Now, raise your hand if you think Terrence Steele is going to be here next year. So if they make him just a regular cut, you're going to get $9.3 million. That already drops you down to $24 million. If they decide to make him a post-June 1st cut, it's $14.5 million. Boom, shakalaka. Okay? Oh, and by the way, Deron Bland is $17 million next year. 17. But here's the thing. Now that we're down to 24, we know that salary cap has gone up by a minimum of $25 million each of the last 2 years. So that alone gets you back to 0. Now check this out. You can go to over the cap yourself, and if you go over here where it says dead money and cap savings, there's a little arrow right there. You click on that. Boom, chakalaka. Go down to restructure. This is where the Cowboys, all that green is money that the Cowboys can get. Now, the difference here is between the Cowboys and the Eagles is the Eagles don't really have that restructure money in there. They just take it right now, so they use it immediately. Now, let's say you're sitting here and you're looking at Deron Bland and you're wondering, did we make a mistake on signing him? You may not want to do that trigger and get that $8 million because you say, let's eat that high price tag now this year, get rid of the guaranteed money, and we can get away from him next year. If you believe that they're going to be here for a few years, then you go ahead and restructure it. So you can get $31 million almost from Dak Prescott. You can get $19 million from CeeDee Lamb. You can get $17 million from Tyler Smith. You can get $14 million from Quentin Williams. You can get $9 million from Kenny Clark. You can get $12 million from Osin Digizua. You can get 8.6 for Deron Blint. You can even get 4.8 from Jake Ferguson. So, your opinion on George Pickens and why? I love George Pickens. I think George Pickens is an incredible asset and that this team needs George Pickens. I will say George Pickens is the guy we've been looking for since we got rid of Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper basically was our second leading receiver when he was let go with about 862 yards, I believe it was. After him, we ended up having Noah Browns. What's his name? Oh, my God. We're still paying dead money to that guy. Busted his knee up. Brandon Cooks had about 650 yards. Noah Brown had about 500 and some odd yards. And Michael Gallup had like 500 and some yards. So if your number 2 wide receiver was 650 yards or less for 3 years after having Amari Cooper, and you get George Pickens who comes in here with 1,400, why would I have a bad opinion of George Pickens? I would say, if I think about, here's what I'm going to say. But when people say he's too expensive, how much did you pay Michael Gallup? $13 million a year. We paid $8.5 million last year in dead money to Michael Gallup. We've spent $5 million last year in dead money for Brandon Cooks. We gave up a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo. We gave up a 4th-round pick for Jalen Tolbert. That's how much you gave trying to find a quality number 2 wide receiver. 2 4th-round picks. And about $60 million. Eliminate the middleman. Pay George Pickens. Pay George Pickens. There you go. That's my opinion on George Pickens. But the Cowboys are going to have to get some players, and they're going to have to jettison some too. I'm not sure. I mean, linebacker, we've had problems with forever. The last time we actually had good linebacker play was Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch's rookie year. After that, Van Der Esch couldn't stay healthy, and Jalen Smith, the drop foot just became too much. We've gone through. No response, how sad. What's no response, how sad? I ask you because you want to steal our coaches right now. Yeah. Sure. So, Cowboy fans, if I sent y'all Sirianni and Patella for a first and you guys pay their contracts in full, do y'all? Remember, he was 5 straight years of playoff. No, I don't want Nick Sirianni and Patella. Nope. No, thank you. With that offense, that putrid offense, no, thank you. Yes, we want some of your coaches, not the bad ones, bro. Not the bad ones. Look, nobody wants to play with them. Nobody wants to coach Jalen Hurts with Nick Sirianni there. You literally had and I'm sitting here like, how is it Brian Diebold, and I probably mispronounced his name, and that's just the way it is. If you don't like the way I mispronounce shit, then watch something else. That's what you get here, okay? Don't go into a burger joint asking for, Chinese food. That's not what we do here. We serve you mispronounced names. If you don't like it, go to another pizza place. Okay. Sorry. Some of these damn emails get on my damn nerves. It's like, I'm 60 years old. I'm not changing now. I'm not changing. Okay? But Sirianni led the Cowboys to a Super Bowl immediately, if you did. No, he ain't. I'm going to tell you, Eagle fan there, does Howie Roseman go with him? Because it's got to be a package deal. If I'm taking Nick Sirianni, I got to have Howie Roseman. And you have to take Jerry Jones. If we got to take Sirianni, you got to take Jerry Jones. And that's a deal I'll go with. And we get Rabbit, or I get Howie. Rabbit's hauled ass out of Philly. If he did that, I'd love him. Kellen Moore was hired, and he won a Super Bowl with Hurts. Dak got him fired. No, Dak didn't get him fired. He got himself fired. Because you know the problem with, okay, you can't really compare apples and oranges in that situation. When you won the Super Bowl, let's be clear here. Let's be clear here. You had a running back rush for 2,000 plus yards. Check. You had the best offensive line in football. Check. You had 2 legitimate wide receivers. Check. You had a great tight end. What you had was the Dallas Cowboys potential of the 90s on that field. Flat out. Well, Jalen Hurts wasn't Troy Aikman, but you understand what I'm saying. We never had all those pieces together. We never had a 2,000-yard rusher. Zeke Elliott was a shell of himself since 2019. We didn't have anybody over 1,100 yards until this year, since 2019. So to say that, Kellen Moore, he did a miracle with the Eagles, well, he had a whole lot more to work with. And again, after we got rid of Amari Cooper, we didn't have credible receivers besides CeeDee Lamb. I'll wait. Go ahead and tell me. Tell me how much help. When you had CeeDee Lamb have to go out and get 1,700 yards and your next closest receiver is 600, Brandon Cooks, come on, man. He's a complimentary receiver at this point in his career. He's not a game changer. So that argument doesn't hold water. The Pit is the greatest baseball atmosphere I've ever been in. Haha, Dirty Sanchez. Well, my end ain't so tight anymore, but pretty damn good. Oh, shit. Okay. All right. Damn, this hour's gone by fast. Got talking about pillows and shit like that, and shit went south. And then sitting here arguing with Eagle fans.
Look, he's definitely.
Whoops. And then listening to Philly 500. I do want to just touch on this for a little bit, and I might end up running over. I wouldn't be surprised if Lane Johnson announced his retirement very soon. And see, that's one of those ones that if he does, they got a lot of dead money for Lane Johnson. That's going to be one of those ones where the Eagles are going to have some problems going down the road because there's some players that they may want to keep, like Jalen Phillips. I don't think they have the money to. There's Nakobe Dean out there that I don't think they're going to have money for. And Reed Blankenship. Those are some guys that you can sit here and look and say, maybe Christian Parker brings those guys, or can put in some good words and say, hey, the new party's in Dallas. Come on and join me. And so he may be able to, with the contacts that he's had over the couple of years between Green Bay, Denver, and Philadelphia, he might be your best recruiter. Yeah. But I want to touch on this just a little bit. John Owing giving his insight on what to expect.
What could you tell us? What are we getting here? Let me ask you this. When a defensive assistant takes a job, do you assume that he's basically going to run the system that he comes from? Like, how much Fangio are we getting here, you think?
Yeah, I think it depends on the guy, obviously. Like, depends on what stops they had before. There are, some defense assistants that had coached under multiple different defensive coordinators that play multiple different schemes. But when you have a guy like Christian Parker who's really majored into Vic Fangio schemes for most of, I think, the last half decade outside of 1 year with Vance Joseph. So my understanding is it's going to be like very Vic Fangio adjacent. Obviously, he's going to have his own little spin on things just from his personal preferences, and maybe some of his stops along the way will change a little bit, but I'm guessing it's going to be very similar to what Fangio and the Fangio adjacent teams have been in the NFL.
Hey, John, you're so smart talking about these things, so I'm going to ask you this question, and seriously, I'm trying to learn here. Does Dallas have the personnel to run the style of scheme he wants to run?
More people.
I think so, because a big thing that you hear a lot of the Fangio people say, and especially Christian Parker in a lot of his interviews, is they don't really have a type of player. They like to really, their scheme is very malleable around the skill sets of the players they have at hand. They can play, like say they have a nickel who's really much more accustomed to playing man than playing zone. They can play more man techniques, more man match, more zone match schemes. If you have guys that are a little bit better playing zone, playing off, they have little adjustments in their schemes to do that. So I think, they have the players, they have players to be able to do it. You just want to get higher caliber players so that it can be run at a higher level, obviously. But I think the bare bones of the defense is there, that you can do a lot of the things, especially up front. I think the five-man fronts, the kind of, people say 3-4, but it's more of like a five-man surface on the line of scrimmage. I think that's going to really fit the Cowboys' personnel they have right away with Kenny Clark, Oso Digizua, and Quinnen Williams. The ability to get all three of those guys on the field at the same time and manufacture one-on-one matchups, I think is going to allow them to have a lot of success in that department. So
I was going to ask you about that is, as far as like, do any of these players that we're working on in the draft now, like, okay, Falk from Auburn, a 6'6", 285, is that something that maybe in the old scheme kind of out of place, but now in this scheme more likely back in place?
I do think he's a better fit in the Fangio Christian Parker scheme, because when they're playing up front, they play with a lot of light boxes. And when you play with a lot of light boxes, you have to find a way to steal gaps. And the way that the Fangio, adjacent, the way that Christian Parker and those guys have typically done it is they play a lot of gap and a half techniques. And that sounds like really crazy, really wild. Like I've heard single gap, I heard two gap. What's the difference? It's kind of like they play single gap, but they're not, instead of attacking upfield through their gap, they're attacking into their gap, holding their position, and then once the ball carrier declares where he's going to go, then you'll see them shed and go to an adjacent gap. So that's a way that they can make the run fit sure despite having a lighter box. So I think a guy like Falk, who's a big, strong guy, really good against the run, has the ability to play with extension, peek in one side, play in one primary gap, and then shed and go to another because he's so long and he knows how to utilize his length really well. I think that, especially in the run game department, he's someone who fits really well into what Parker and the Fangio type of guys like to do.
So what you know about the linebackers in the draft then? Okay, like the Allens, Georgia, Hill at Texas. Is there somebody in particular that we're not thinking about now that we need to think about with those inside linebackers? Or was that always going to be, an area no matter what you were going to have to look at?
I think that was going to be an area no matter what that you had to look at, just because the Cowboys' personnel and talent in that department was so subpar last year.
Right.
Now, one thing that that Fangio has done in the past, he will run a lot of what's called penny fronts, and that only has five quote unquote defensive linemen, but it's really like 3 interior defenders and 2 edge defenders, and only 1 linebacker on the field. So if you're really have subpar talent at the linebacker position, these type of fronts are a way to kind of limit their exposure, but still getting other people on the field. That's why in this scheme, the nickel is so important, because he's going to have a lot of run fit responsibilities in this scheme. And if you have a nickel that can not only play the pass well, but he can also fit against the run, think of what someone like Nick Manwari has been doing with the Seattle Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Mike McDonald's talked a lot about that they're playing basically a 4-3, just a 4-3 under in their nickel personnel because Nick Imamwari, I'm saying his name all messed up, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
Imamwari, yep.
Yeah, we know who you're talking. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, his ability to fit against the run allows them to play a lot of base package schemes, even though they're in their nickel personnel. And I think that's very similar to what you'll see Christian Parker type of do if they don't have the talent at the linebacker position going into this year.
John Owning with us here in the G-Bag Nation. I love the focus, too, when it comes to.
All right, I'm going to leave it right there with them. So that's
Can't stand it anymore. I got to get.
I screwed that up. Jeez. Okay, so that's a little taste of what we might be able to expect from Christian Parker. Definitely a good hire. We had the historically bad defense in Eagles history in 23 and went 11-6 on a Super Bowl. Still, Philly D, I will say that you guys gave up, I believe, 26 points a game. The Cowboys, when you say historically bad, maybe historically bad for the Eagles, bro, we gave up 511 points last year. 511. We were dead last. You were bad, but you weren't that bad. The Eagles will be battling the Commanders for third place in the division. Ooh, damn. That sounds like some Momo predictions right there. All righty, good people. I appreciate everybody being here. Tomorrow, 5 o'clock, we'll be doing our live stream, getting ready for 3 games. That's it to the NFL season, unless you count the Pro Bowl, which nobody's counting the Pro Bowl. Mark, would you think it would be funny if the Eagles traded A.J. Brown to the Bills? Oh, man. I'm going to be real with you, James. Right now, I'm going to say I think the Eagles' pants are on fire. They've got some real problems. I think the Eagles are broken right now. They've got so many questions like we were talking about. Is Lane Johnson done? The offensive line, they paid all the guys, and they were all broke down. Nick Sirianni, nobody wants to coach and be their offensive coordinator. If you're looking at that and saying they've had 7 offensive coordinators in 7 years, I'm not trying to get my nuts cut off. No. And now you lost one of your up-and-coming coaches to the Dallas Cowboys? Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Sweet dreams. Stay warm. Keep us updated on your health during these very cold days. Yes, everybody. I don't know where you are, but I know in the panhandle of Texas, it's already beginning to snow, and it's going to be affecting across the country here. I talk about it being cold here. It ain't cold here, okay? If it's still on the positive side, that's way better than what some people are putting up with. And what you have to understand is no matter how bad you may think your shit is, there are people out there that wish they only had your problems. So keep that in mind when you're feeling, woe is me, I'm just in such a bad way. There are so many others that are much further worse off. All right, people, I appreciate you guys staying here with me and my non-English speaking self. And you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here.
Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. The party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing again.